Leo Valdez wiped the grease from his hands, the sting of solvent a familiar comfort. At 22, his world was the four walls of Apex Auto Repair, the scent of oil, and the weight of tools his father had left him. His natural talent was hidden under grime-covered coveralls, and despite the worn-out soles of his work boots, he stood with a quiet confidence. He had saved for 8 months. 8 long months of taking side jobs, skipping dinners with friends, and riding his bike 10 miles each way to save on gas. All to make the final payment on the loan he'd taken to keep his father's shop from closing. The only thing he had left of the man who taught him everything. The bank was sleek and imposing that Thursday afternoon, a world of glass and chrome filled with people tapping on tablets and discussing ventures Leo couldn't fathom. He felt invisible, but he had every right to be there. His money was earned with grit and grease-stained determination. When his number was finally called, Leo approached the counter with his envelope of carefully saved cash. He had no idea that the woman in the elegant emerald pantsuit standing 5 people behind him had been observing him since he walked in, and he certainly didn't know that what was about to happen would change everything. Like this video if you believe potential isn't defined by appearance. Subscribe to see how this unfolds. Leo placed his envelope on the counter in front of a teller whose name tag read Chloe Davenport, account officer. She was maybe 25, with perfectly manicured nails and a smile that was more of a grimace. "Afternoon," Leo said, his voice calm but firm. "I'd like to make a loan payment, please. The final one." Chloe picked up the envelope with a sigh, as if it were a piece of garbage, and glanced inside. Her expression immediately turned dismissive. "Cash," she said, the word dripping with condescension. "We prefer electronic transfers or a cashier's check for loan payments. This creates a lot of unnecessary work for us." Leo felt a heat rise to his face. I wasn't aware. But I have it all. I counted it twice. It's exactly $2,800. "I'm sure you did," Chloe interrupted, speaking slowly as if he were simple. "But we have protocols for large, irregular cash transactions." "Irregular?" Leo's voice tightened. He could feel the gaze of other customers burning into his back. Chloe sighed dramatically and began counting the bills, spreading them across the polished granite. 20s, 10s, 5s, the result of Leo's tireless work and sacrifice. She handled each bill with distaste. "Mr. Valdez," she said, reading from her screen, "I see here your business is an auto repair shop. A rather small-scale operation." The way she said it made his life's work sound like a hobby. He straightened his spine. "It's my father's shop. I've been working on cars since I was 12. Chloe's lips pursed. "And can you verify the source of this cash?" "Our bank has strict policies regarding suspicious deposits, potential fraud, tax evasion." "Excuse me?" Leo's voice was low, vibrating with anger. "I earn every cent of that money. I'm here to pay off my business loan." Chloe leaned back, a smirk playing on her lips. "Mr. Valdez, there's no need for aggression. I'm just following procedure. A young man in your financial bracket? Suddenly paying off a lump sum in cash, it raises red flags." "In my financial bracket?" Leo repeated, his heart hammering against his ribs. "What exactly does that mean?" "I think you know what I mean," Chloe said, lowering her voice to a stage whisper that carried through the quiet bank. "Let's be realistic. You come in here with crumpled bills, no appointment, no documented payment history for this amount. I see your account history is minimal. And now suddenly you have," she counted quickly, $2,800 in cash. "You can understand my concern." Leo felt the world shrink around him. People in line were muttering. A man in a polo shirt shifted his briefcase away. A woman with a designer handbag looked at him with open pity. "I can't process this payment," Chloe announced, pushing the money back toward him. "Not without proper documentation for these funds. Pay stubs, invoices, something that proves this isn't questionable." "I have invoices at the shop." Leo's voice cracked. "I can bring them." "Please don't make this difficult." Chloe cut him off. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You can return when you have the proper paperwork. Leo's hands trembled as he gathered the money. 8 months of backbreaking work, of integrity, of honoring his father's memory, and this is what it came to. Being shamed in public, treated like a criminal. He turned to leave, humiliation washing over him, his hard-earned cash clutched in his greasy hands. That's when a voice, cool and sharp as a razor, cut through the hushed atmosphere of the bank. Did I just witness what I think I did? Comment below. What would you do in this situation? Don't miss what happens next. The voice belonged to the woman in the emerald pantsuit. As she stepped forward, Leo noticed details he'd missed before. She was in her late 40s, with silver-streaked black hair cut in a severe, elegant bob. Her eyes were a piercing gray, and she held herself with an authority that made the air itself seem to still. Her watch alone probably cost more than Leo's loan. Chloe's face immediately drained of color. Ms. Thorne! I didn't realize you were here. You were just publicly shaming a young entrepreneur for having the audacity to pay his debts with physical currency. The woman, Ms. Thorne, finished, her voice dangerously quiet. She positioned herself beside Leo, a silent ally. Ma'am, it's bank policy, Chloe stammered. Bank policy? Ms. Thorne leaned forward slightly, and Chloe flinched. Does your policy involve insulting a customer's business? Does it involve making baseless accusations based on his age and the state of his clothing? Leo stood frozen, unsure of what was happening. The woman defending him radiated a power that commanded the entire room. Ms. Thorne, please, I was just following procedure for unusual deposits. Oh, I see the procedure. Ms. Thorne cut her off. The procedure is prejudice wrapped in bureaucracy. I see a young man who has worked hard to save a significant sum. I see a loyal customer being treated with contempt because he doesn't fit your idea of success. She turned to Leo, and her expression softened minutely. Are you all right? Leo nodded, stunned. Yeah. I needed to make my payment. I believe you, Ms. Thorne said simply. Then she turned her glacial gaze back to Chloe. Process Mr. Valdez's payment. Now. Then you will apologize. And then, she added, her voice dropping, we will have a conversation with Mr. Henderson about your future here. Chloe's hands shook as she reached for the money. Yes, ma'am. Right away, ma'am. Ms. Thorne stood at the counter, a silent sentinel, until the transaction was complete and a mortified apology was stammered out. Thank you, Leo whispered as they walked away from the counter. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, Ms. Thorne replied, her eyes scanning the bank as if it were a chessboard. The world has enough obstacles for small business owners without adding arrogant gatekeepers. You don't even know me, Leo said. Ms. Thorne finally looked at him. I know drive when I see it. I know integrity. That's enough for me. After they exited the bank, the branch manager rushed out, flustered. Isabella! My apologies, I had no idea. We'll talk later, Robert, she said, cutting him off. Her attention was on Leo. Can I give you a ride? I assume you biked here. Leo looked at the sleek, black luxury sedan waiting at the curb. A driver stood patiently by the door. Everything about this screamed corporate royalty. My shop is in the industrial district, he said hesitantly. I'm aware of where Apex Auto is, she said. Get in. Against his better judgment, Leo found himself nodding. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Thorne. Isabella, she corrected. Call me Isabella. As the car glided silently through the city, Leo tried to process the turn his day had taken. If you don't mind me asking, Leo began, why did that teller look like she'd seen a ghost when you walked up? Isabella Thorne didn't smile. This bank, and several others in the city, rely on my investment firm's capital. My disapproval can cost people their careers. What kind of investments? Venture capital, private equity, corporate takeovers, she said smoothly. It wasn't the whole truth. Isabella Thorne was known as the Vulture in financial circles for her ruthless, often hostile, acquisitions. She built empires on the bones of failing companies. But something about Leo's raw determination made her pause. I fund potential. You must see a lot of business plans, Leo observed. I see a lot of greed, she countered. What you have is different. You're trying to build something, not just extract value from it. They pulled up in front of Apex Auto, a modest but impeccably clean garage with a classic car visible under a cover in the back. This is me, Leo said. He reached for the door, then paused. Isabella, thank you. Really? Leo, she said, her voice firm. That teller will be looking for new employment by tomorrow. And the bank will be making a substantial contribution to a small business development fund. Leo's eyes widened. You can do that? Isabella's smile was thin and sharp. I can do a lot of things, Leo. Some of them are even ethical. The joke hung in the air, and Leo suddenly understood. This woman who defended him, who saw value in his work, was also dangerously powerful. Who are you, really? He asked quietly. Someone who hates wasted potential, Isabella answered. And someone who never forgets disrespect or promise. As the sedan drove away, Leo stood in the bay of his shop, Isabella's business card in his hand. It was heavy, textured stock, with only a name and a number. He should throw it away. But something told him that Isabella Thorne had just redefined the boundaries of his world. Share this video if you believe in second chances. The final twist is coming. Leo didn't call Isabella. A month passed, and her card stayed pinned to his shop's bulletin board. He'd returned to his routine, fixing cars, managing invoices, building his reputation. But when he passed the sleek bank, he crossed the street. The trouble started with a city inspector, then a sudden, massive tax audit, then a cease and desist letter from a large corporate chain claiming trademark infringement on the name. Apex. It was a coordinated attack, designed to crush a small business under legal fees and bureaucracy. Leo was drowning. In a moment of desperation, he dialed the number. 2 hours later, Isabella Thorne was in his office, surrounded by greasy manuals and parts catalogs. She listened intently as he explained. It's Apex Auto Parts, the national chain, Leo said, frustration evident in his voice. They claim my shop's name, which my father registered 30 years ago, is confusingly similar. It's absurd. It's not absurd, Isabella said coldly, scrolling through documents on her tablet. It's strategy. They want this block for a new flagship store. You're in the way. This is how they clear the path. How do you know that? Because I've done it, she said, looking him dead in the eye. There was no apology in her gaze, only stark honesty. Not to people like you. But the principle is the same. This is my world, Leo. It's ugly. Can you help me? He asked, the question tasting like defeat. I already have, she said, turning her tablet to him. On the screen was a press release. Apex Auto Parts was suddenly facing a federal antitrust investigation and a hostile takeover bid from a shell corporation. The attacks on Leo's shop had mysteriously vanished. The city inspector had been reassigned. The audit was closed. What did you do? Leo whispered, horrified and grateful all at once. I showed them that the mouse they were trying to crush had a very, very large friend, she said. They'll bother you no more. Leo sat back, the weight of her power settling on him. This is what you do. You destroy things. I protect investments, she corrected. And I've just made one. You. What? Your father's shop is safe. But it's just a shop. You have talent, Leo. I've seen your work on that '67 Mustang in the back. That's not just repair, that's artistry. I want to invest. Not in the past, but in the future. A custom automotive restoration business. My capital, your skill. A 50-50 partnership. It was an impossible offer. A lifeline and a pact with a force he barely understood. Why? Leo asked. Why me? Because the world is full of Chloe Davenports, Isabella said, her voice uncharacteristically soft. People who see the grease and miss the genius. I build my career on seeing value where others see waste. You are the best investment I've seen in a decade. Don't make me wrong. Leo looked around the shop, at his father's legacy. Then he looked at Isabella, at the future she was offering. It was dangerous. It meant stepping into her world of corporate warfare and moral compromises. But it also meant growth. It meant his talent wouldn't be wasted. I have one condition, Leo said, his voice firm. Name it. We do it right. We treat our employees well. We give back to the community. We're not just predators. For the first time, a genuine, uncalculated smile touched Isabella Thorne's lips. That, she said, is why I'm investing in you. To be my conscience. She extended her hand. It was smooth and cool against his calloused, grease-stained one. Partners? She asked. Partners, he confirmed. A year later, Valdez Classic Automotive opened its new, state-of-the-art facility. The launch party was attended by celebrities, collectors, and the city's elite. Leo, in a new suit, stood beside Isabella, who watched him with a look of fierce pride. He was still the same young man from the shop, but his world had expanded. He had become a success on his own terms, with the unlikely patronage of a woman who saw the diamond in the rough. And Isabella Thorne, the corporate vulture, had found something she thought she'd lost, a project that fed her soul, not just her portfolio. The world of high finance and the world of greasy engines had collided, and in the intersection, they had both found redemption. The end.